Good to be here this morning. It's been a little while since we've been here. They asked me to have a little something to say, and I felt like I may have had a little something, but first I wanted to just tell a little story here before we get started, since it's Pastor Appreciation. I think it was about 4 years ago, I came up here and I brought a friend of mine, Matt, with me, and it was a Saturday night. We were over at Brother and Sister Farrell's house, and a lot of us were playing ping pong and got to talk. And I got talking to Brother Tommy about just a little thought that I had. And Lord had been dealing with me to be called to preach, and I'd been fighting it for a long time. And Brother Tommy kept telling me, he said, "Just go ahead and say something in the morning. Go ahead and say something." I didn't want to. I was still kind of fighting it, and he kept pushing me to. So I finally gave in, and that Sunday morning I talked about having a reaction or taking action, and ever since then I felt like the Lord just kind of brought me along a little more. Me and Matt left that night, headed home, and I got about an hour and a half or so from here, and I had a blowout and couldn't get the tire off. I thought I had all the right tools, and I had forgotten one of them, so I was stuck alongside the road, and it was late at night, and we had tried calling tow trucks. Nobody had come out there, and just it seemed like it was mess after mess. And we had I think a county sheriff and a patrol officer come up, and they took us apart and questioned us, and I tried getting them to take us into town and give us a tool, and they couldn't do anything, didn't want to, whatever it was. And we ended up getting a hold of Brother Tommy and Jim, and they came out there and helped us get it changed, and they brought us back here, and we ended up staying Sunday night here, and we got up early that next morning and went to try and find some tires. A tire, they told us that tire wouldn't fit on the car that I had. That was just it seemed like after that weekend, it just seemed like everything was coming at me. And we took him out there, and I showed him, and the tire was on there, and he said he couldn't do it. And we asked him if he'd put it on the rim, and he said he would do that for us. So we went and got lunch, and we come back, and the guy asked me, where we wanted the tire, and I pointed to the truck, just take it out there, and we go put it on. And he came out with 4 tires, and I told him I only needed the one, and he told us, he said, "Well, I've got it in here that you bought 4 of them." And I said, "Okay, well, what do we owe you?" And I was going to bring the receipt, but I forgot to, and I think it came out to like $93 for 4 tires. And it just seemed like everything that weekend kept pushing me, starting with your pastor, just kept pushing me towards trying to be called to preach. And I appreciate a man of God that'll just come forth and really push you and try to do something for you. Try to get to preach here. If you'll turn with me to Hebrews chapter 11. I'm going to try and talk about faith a little bit, and it's a really broad subject, but it's probably going to be really short with me. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." And as I was reading some more last night, the thought just kept rolling over my mind. Who, what, when, where, how, and why. So I got to trying to read a little more, and I'll start with, what is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Like we just read, the evidence of things not seen. Substance is that which a thing consists of, the physical matter or material. That's the ingredients. That's what puts it together. I think of, like, when you bake a cake, you need flour, eggs, milk. I'm not sure what all you need, but you need all these things to try and get a cake. You're not just going to end up with a cake. You've got to put these things into it. And faith is a substance. Faith is part of the ingredient of things that we hope for. We need love and hope to get to these things. But without these, we're not going to get very far. But we look at who our faith is in. We say our faith is in God, but is it really? A lot of times if we're sick or something, well, first thing we do is we go to the doctor. Let's see what's wrong with it. That's putting a little more faith in the doctor. Is it in our jobs, is it in our family, our pastor maybe? I love Brother Tommy, and I've got a lot of confidence in him, but he's not always going to be there to pull me out. He's not going to have the right thing to say every time. My faith needs to be in something a little higher. He won't always be there to help us our troubles, but there's somebody who will be there. It's when and where's. There's just a simple answer to that one. Anytime, any place, and anywhere. If you have the faith, God will use it and use it for His glory. How do we use it? The evidence of things not seen. I believe that faith has to come by something in the past. We have a past experience. Maybe we've read something in the past. There's been something that will help us to build our faith, to show us that there's something there for it. It's atheists believe in Darwin and his theory of evolution. There's something, they may not have a lot of facts for it. They may say what they have is facts for it. But there was something there that shows them, that gives them their faith for it. Faith has to be exercised daily in order for us to get anywhere. In Luke 17, the disciples, verse 5 says, "And the apostles said unto the Lord, Increase our faith. And the Lord said, If ye had faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye may say unto this sycamore tree, Be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it should obey you." They asked him, they said, what do we need to do? Help us to increase our faith. I believe it was in Romans, Paul said that we were given a measure of faith. We were given just a small piece of faith already. We already have some of it. It just needs to be exercised and used properly to God's glory. Faith is not going to be self-sufficient. It cannot sustain by itself. We need, like I said earlier, love and hope. Without these, faith will be frail. Faith begins where worry ends. If we've got so much worry and doubt and fear in our heart, Brother Tommy, we're not giving room for faith to come in there. We're trying to fill it with all these problems and these issues that we're having, and we're not giving enough room for faith to come in there and try to be exercised and grow the way we need it. It doesn't mean that it's all going to be nice and peachy and everything's just going to go smooth along. But if we have faith, we can get through these things. And why do we use faith? Because without faith, it is impossible to please God or to be used by Him for His kingdom and His glory. Faith is not made. We don't need faith to make us look better. Faith is not going to make me look better. I believe it was Peter when Jesus told him to come out of the boat. Peter walked out there, and we can look at that, and we can say something about that. But without faith, Peter wouldn't have made it one step out of the boat, and he would have fallen. Faith is used to see how much we trust Him. How much belief do we have in Him? Is our assurance in God? Are we here for us? Are we here trying to use our faith for God? How much do we have invested in this Christian walk? If we have enough invested in this Christian walk, we can say it doesn't matter what's going to come. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. I've got faith that God will help me through this. We look back at Hebrews 11. There's all the heroes of faith. It says, "By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain." Abel used his faith. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death. Enoch used it. By faith Noah, being warned of God of things not seen. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go into a place. I believe Sarah's in there, just a couple verses down. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive. By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau. By faith Jacob when he was dying. By faith Joseph when he died. By faith Moses when he was born was hid 3 months of his parents. By faith Moses when he was come to years. All these people had faith. They had assurance. They knew what they were believing in, and they put it into there. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down. By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not. And what shall I say more? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, and of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and of Samuel the prophets. There's all these that had faith in something. But it also says, these all having died in the faith, not receiving the promise, Verse 39 also says, having received a good report, not obtained the promise. They hadn't seen, they weren't exactly sure what they were going for. They had an idea maybe, and they knew they were going for something. They hadn't physically seen it. They had not seen exactly what they were going, but they started putting this here, and putting a little bit over here, and trying to build something with it. And through that, they obtained the good report. Paul said, I have fought a good fight, and I have kept the faith. Henceforth is laid up for me a crown of righteousness. He did everything he could. He tried putting it all in there. And because of that, he put his faith into it. He tried. And through that, he got all the ingredients right, and he received what he was looking for. Amen.